to you in the studio, Mr. Maka. Do you see any solution in sight? According to reports, over 806 billion naira was allocated to power in the 2022 budget. It doesn't appear we're not budgeting enough. I don't know. You're a power person. So, is the budget low? If the budget is low or high, then do we have justification for how much has been budgeted already?
Okay, thank you very much. I think part of the challenge we are experiencing in the sector today is that of misappropriation of funds. A lot has been channeled into the sector, but these funds were not rightly or judiciously used. You can't say that the issue of power sector can be addressed all at once, but consistently and consciously these issues will be attended to. But we need to have the right, mind and the willpower to do that. That is what is missing, if you ask me. A lot of people see the sector as like my friend said, come chop, instead of trying to address the real issue. The budget, the funds that has been pushed into the power sector, if they were used judiciously, I don't think we will be talking about all this. We would have gone far beyond where we are today.
One question is it that our leaders, those in government, don't understand how significant power is?
I wouldn't say. I think it's all about selfish interest. They all know how important power is. There's no way an economy can thrive without power. Even in their own places, they use power.
So if you get power, you will have industries. You will even have more money.
Sure.
So why are they not going through that route? Why are they just because it's like recycled problem.
I think they are in a better position to, answer that question. But that is the root cause of the problem we have. The sector, like Idika rightly pointed out, needs investment, foreign direct investment. The environment needs also to be conducive for these investors to be comfortable to bring in their funds. With what we have today, will you be comfortable to bring in your fund when you are not seeing prudence, when you're not seeing people putting their minds to addressing this? This issue has been there for years, for decades, and we are still grappling with the same old thing. It's high time people tell ourselves the truth. We need to tell ourselves the truth. Do we want to solve this problem? That should be the right question. Do we really want to solve this problem? If it's a problem we want to solve, there is hope. It can be solved. But we need to have the right attitude. We need to be committed to seeing it work, not trying to see what you can get out of it. Okay? So that, I believe, is a solution to our problem. Having the right mindset, having a conducive environment for these investors to come in, because the money that is needed to address we don't have it here. These are foreign direct investments that need to come in, but the environment need to be conducive. And on the flip side, our publics, our customers need to also have a change of attitude. Look at vandalism all over the place. Somebody invests in the network, is vandalized. So it's also a critical issue. And the aspect of seeing this as a service that needs to be paid for, no longer national cake. People need to change their orientation.
Now, there was a time when everybody was clamoring for privatization. Let's privatize. We saw changes in the telecom sector when it was privatized. Why are we not experiencing the same kind of success record? Is it the nature of power, or that we didn't get it right?
Okay, I would say to a large extent, if you try to compare the telcos with the power, the infrastructures are not the same.
Okay.
The telcos, they use, you can't, what are you going to vandalize? Except if you go to vandalize their mast or installation. But in our own case, you see cables, once you cut the cable, I mean, you've crippled the network, just like what happened with the grid.
The grid.
So the grid is a network of transformers, lines. Once there's interruption in one, it affects the whole network. The same thing is also applicable here. The privatization is a good thing, is a positive thing, but we should not, it won't be fair to compare telcos and the power infrastructure.
But that doesn't mean it's impossible.
It's not impossible. It's not impossible.
But it's not the same thing.
They are not the same. They are not the same, and it might just be smoother with the telcos than it will be with the power infrastructure. Like I try to explain, the network, the nature of, you can have a mast here without having a line run from here to maybe Ebonyi, and the wave it travels by wave, unlike ours. So they are totally different.
Okay, so when we say national grid, what is it exactly? It's like a jargon that's used in your profession.
Okay,
the sector.
The grid is basically the there's a value chain. Okay, we have the generation, we have the transmission, we have the distribution. The grid is that transmission line that wheels the power from the generation end down to the distribution end. That is like the web. So if there's interruption in the network, it will cripple the whole system. So, for instance, if a power transformer that is meant to wheel power from one end to the other is malfunctioning, that power will not get to the other end. So that's basically what it is. The grid is those lines that you see that push power from one point where it was generated down to the distribution space.
Okay, some people have light, some don't. What's the explanation?
Okay, it depends on, there are many factors that can inform that. We have feeders. These are equipment that push power from the injection sub down to the various transformers, and these feeders have transformers plugged to them. A feeder can have as much as 100 transformers. So if, for example, the feeder is on potential, that is active, is pushing out power to those 100 transformers, and one transformer feeding you is faulty, you won't have supply.
Okay.
So that's the fact.
It will affect the 100.
It won't affect the 100.
Okay.
It will affect, because the local fault is affecting you, that is being fed by that very transformer and other customers feeding from that transformer.
Okay.
But if it's happening at the feeder point, the feeder is one supplying those 100 transformers.
Okay.
That means all those 100 transformers will not have supply, and all the customers on feeding from that 100 transformers will not have supply. And there are factors that can also inform the feeder not pushing power. Okay. So these are things that happen, and you see our people patrol to know what is happening. Maybe there's a bridge somewhere, maybe there's interference that trip the feeder, that is not allowing power to leave from the feeder to those 100 transformers. So there are 1,001 issues or factors that can inform people having supply and others not having supply.
You're probably the wrong person to ask, but how soon are we getting the grid back up?
Okay, the grid is back. You know, whenever there's collapse,
Is it fully back?
not fully back, but gradually they'll be. You can't load the grid all at once. Gradually, part of investigation too. You need to know and sectionalize to know where these issues are coming from.
Okay.
Now, the from the report you read, the issue has been identified. So that area will be isolated, and other areas will be restored. So that how it happens. You can't bring on all the feeders all at once, but gradually you be loading the feeders.
To what extent is Enugu affected by this grid collapse?
I mean, when it happens, it affects almost everywhere, depending on the source of power. If Aloji is off, I mean, if Awada is off, where do we pick our power from? So once those major source of power source are affected, it will affect a larger part of the network. But I would say that our feeders are, I would say, up to 70-80% active.
70% active
at the moment. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds like good news. All right, we'll take a short break. Stay with me. I'll be right back. Thank you, Mr. Emeka, as the head communications EDC.
Thank
you for stopping by, and thank you for the insight you've brought. For those of you who listened, it's been a Viewpoint, a conversation. Thank you for joining us. Join us again tomorrow morning for another edition. Do have a great day ahead of you.